This is Cindy and Destiny with Keep It Real podcast, and we are so over the top excited today to have Kelly Slaughter with us, and she is the daughter of the one and only Sergeant Slaughter. How are you today, Kelly?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. How are
Oh,
you?
we're great. We're great. Like I told you earlier, we're so excited. We've been wanting to do this for ever since we scheduled you. Before that, we were like,
Oh,
"Oh, I want to schedule her, but I don't know if she'll be able to." But so it took a while.
oh, oh, well, I'm happy to do it.
Oh, thank you so much, so much. So, to start off, we did watch the biography, and I want to talk about that in a little bit if we can, if that's okay with you.
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
But first of all, about you, I saw that you're an OCR athlete, obstacle course athlete. Is that correct?
Yes, obstacle course races. I primarily do Spartan races, which is just a brand of obstacle course race, but I have done others. Um, and I really just do them for fun and to challenge myself.
What all's involved in that? I mean,
Yeah,
what?
so for I'll just talk basically about Spartan because that's what I know the most of. So they have different length races, and within that length race, there's obstacles that you have to go through or over or under or up. And there's monkey bars, there's a spear throw, there's mud is usually involved. There's usually some kind of water and mud involved. Barbed wire crawls, walls you have to get over, hurdles you have to go over. I'm trying to think, just a bunch of different. There's big, huge contraptions that you have to climb up and get over and come back down. And um, last year I did a cliff climb.
Oh,
That was
wow.
an obstacle. Yeah, that had me freaking out. As the older I've gotten, I've realized I'm afraid of heights. I was never afraid of heights before, and then all of a sudden I'm scared of heights. And so I totally was freaking out about this cliff climb. I looked it up and watched YouTube videos. I was posting on the message boards, like or on the Facebook groups, like, I'm gonna die. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I did cry when I got to the top because I was just I had so much emotion and I had been so scared to do it and I did it. And so if you watch the biography, apparently I'm a crier.
Me too.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, where you said it seems like the older you got, you realized you're afraid of heights. I tell myself all the time, I wonder because I find myself being more afraid of certain things like that. I think it's because the older we get, the more aware we get of what could possibly happen. And when we're younger, we're just like,
Yeah. No care in the world.
Mhm.
And I think as you get older, you realize how precious life is.
Yes, absolutely.
And especially if you have kids, then you think about, leaving them behind if something happens to you or if you get hurt and who's going to care for them. And yeah, so I think you just realize
Mhm.
how precious it is.
Yeah. I know. I tell Destiny all the time that I mean, wrestling has been like my passion forever. And she's training to be a wrestler.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
I'll watch her sometimes. I'm like, yeah, 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 you've got this. You've got this. It's so awesome. And then there's times when I'm like, I don't want to watch this right now. Yeah. Because it's my
Yeah.
daughter. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I did not like watching my dad wrestle. It was like traumatizing. I was also really young, but when it's your daughter or your kid and you're watching them get hurt and, taking all these bumps, it's not not fun because that's your baby.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
I do. I have two kids. I have a boy and a girl. And I
Mm.
have Rudy is 12 and Cora is my youngest, and she is just like me, and she's 5 going on 15.
Oh.
She is all sass. She's totally me. I like to say she's my mini me, only better. But yeah, she's a spicy one. I love
Yeah.
her.
That's
And
good
my
'cause
son is very chill and laid back. My son actually reminds me a lot of like my dad when my dad was young. And like watching the biography and how everyone talks about he was so quiet and you know, it just reminded me a lot of my son.
oh, that's all. See, everybody says that Destiny that reminds them of me. They tell us we're twins all the time, but
Hmm.
yeah, except it's the opposite. I'm more outgoing, and she's very, very shy, very shy. But it's amazing when she gets in the ring or something, you can't tell. It's like something switches in her,
Yeah,
which is a great
because
thing.
it's a persona.
Mhm.
You get to become someone else. Yeah.
Um,
Yep. That was my dad. He was very quiet and reserved and like a big teddy bear, but in the ring he was a animal.
yeah.
Screaming and you know,
I
yeah.
always loved watching him. Always loved it so much. Um, you also told me when we were trying to schedule for a Monday that you teach fitness classes. What kind of fitness
I
classes do you
do.
teach?
I do. So I teach, it's through a brand called Les Mills, and I'm certified to teach one of their formats called Tone. And Tone is a 45-minute class, and the first half is cardio. And then the second half, we bring the heart rate back down and we do like upper body, lower body, glutes, core, balance, but there's a balance track in there. And it's just a really good all-encompassing workout. It's for all fitness levels. I show 3 different levels, and you just kind of pick whichever level you want to do. Um, I say that all the time. I'm like, pick your level, whichever one you want to do. And if you go to the high option and you can't stay there and you want to come down, go down. No one's going to judge you for it. It's your workout, and I'm just here to show you what to do. You make it however you want, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have, I mean, do you all have like recordings or videos, or is it just in person that you do?
So I just do in person, but you can actually download the app for Les Mills, and I think it's called Les Mills Plus, and you can get videos that they put out and be able to follow along.
That's really cool. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Some weights for. So, you could always do it with just body weight, but some of the classes are like they have a body pump and you're using a barbell for that class. But yeah, but like the cardio, and you could do what I do with just with like 5-pound dumbbells if you wanted to go start light. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can
Um,
just do it at home. And then there's just like strictly cardio classes that you could do. There's body combat, which is one of my favorites, and that's MMA inspired. So
um,
there's karate, there's Muay Thai, there's boxing, there's kickboxing. Um, so it's a lot of fun. You're not fighting anyone else. Like you don't have an opponent. They're just imaginary. You're not like there's no bag or anything. You're not actually physically hitting anything. But it helps me get my aggression out.
I'm going to show my age a little. I had used to do the Billy Blanks Taibo kickboxing videos.
Yes,
Used to
I
love
remember those.
those. Loved them. Loved them.
Yeah.
Destiny said she had a question for you, or a couple
Yeah.
about.
Um, so where I've been training, my upper body is not as strong as it needs to be. Um, what are some um
Upper body exercises.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. So, one of the things that I do just to help me with my upper body and like holding myself up for like when I'm doing Spartan races, there's a lot of like upper body strength and you're holding yourself up, is dead hangs. So you basically just hang and then you can do scap retraction. So you're just holding on to like a bar and your feet are off the ground. And so dead hangs, that'll help with like grip and things like that so that you're working like forearms because you're holding on. And then you can, they're called scap retractions when your scap is your shoulder blade, right? So if you can just picture them and you're putting them down and back. So you're just, retracting your scapulas. That'll help with your back and shoulders. Um, just doing like bicep curls, hammer curls. Um, I'm totally blanking on what these are called. Side raises. That'll do your delts. So, but definitely I actually work with a personal trainer and I'm in a lifting group and she does it all through Facebook and then we have an app and she goes in and she gives us all the lifts that we have to do for a 8-week period. And then after that 8 weeks is up, she gives us a new set of exercises to do. So I do that. And then, so that's 4 days of lifting, and then I do 2 days of cardio. But right now we're doing 2 leg days and 2 upper body days.
Mm.
So, and then I do cardio. So I split it up. I do a leg day and an upper body day, and then I have a cardio day, and then I do a leg day and a upper body day, and then I do a cardio day and then a rest day. But that just works for me and my schedule. So I always have Sundays as my rest day, but if you can't have Sunday as your rest day because you've got other things going on or whatever, then just make it work for you. But that's what works for me right now. So that's what I do. But if you're interested in that, anyone can do it. You can do it from home. You can work with what you've got. You can get bands if you want and do it. You can go to your gym and work out if you belong to a gym. So I don't know if you want me to give her information right now
If you
or
want
give you like
to,
a link and you can put it in the description maybe.
yeah, that would be good. We can do that.
Okay, we can do it. All right, I'll send that to you.
Okay.
Let me make a note of that. But it's on Instagram, it's called Friendly Muscles.
Friendly muscles.
Friendly Muscles on Instagram. Her last name is Friend. So it worked really well for her, that name,
Oh,
Friendly Muscles.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yes. What else was it? Are there any like certain foods? Because I know I've been following you and you see all of your keto and all of that. Are there any certain foods that help to build the muscle quicker?
Well, you need protein to build muscle. So protein. Now, I'm personally doing keto and low carb. I know not everybody wants to do that, and that doesn't work for everybody, but that's just what works for me. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm basically like in the nutrition or in the weightlifting world, I'm like in a cut right now, right? Like I'm trying to get some of the fat off. And so I just decided that I was going to do keto. I've done it before. I like doing keto, so let me just do it again. And then once I get down to where I need to be in maintenance, then I'll probably do like a macro counting where I'm just like counting my macros. So I've got so many carbs, so many, basically what I do now, but the numbers are going to be different,
Okay.
just to keep me at like to maintain. But I mean, it's so hard to answer like nutrition stuff because you're going to get a different answer depending on who you talk to with what works for them. So for me, I like keto because I can do it and it's easy for me to do. And I think it's everything tastes good because there's lots of fat in there. And like really, if you want to come down to it, it's like meat and cheese and certain vegetables and berries, you know what I mean? So just watching your net carb intake with keto. But if you're building muscle, you need protein for sure. I prioritize my protein over everything else.
It makes sense. And water.
Hmm?
I said, and water for sure.
Yes, water. So I drink a gallon of water a day. So I have this, it's 32 ounces, and I fill it up 4 times. And then I feel like anything after that is just extra. But I had to train myself because that's like a lot of water to drink, you know? And so I fill it up before I go to bed and I have it on my bedside table. And then as soon as I get up, I just start drinking it and drink it and drink it, drink it. And I try to have my first bottle done by the time I'm going to the gym. So then I fill it up again before I leave the house and take the kids to their schools and then head to the gym. So now I filled that up and now I've got like a pre-workout in it. Or well, not a pre-workout. I've got an electrolyte packet that I put in there for when I'm at the gym. So then I drink that whole thing while I'm at the gym, and I usually am filling it up as I'm going out the door at the gym. So now I've already done 2, right? And I need to do 2 more, and I've just filled it up. So now I've got my 3rd thing of water. So I try to drink that before my son gets home from school. Then I fill that up, and that's my last one to be able to get my gallon in. And then once I've done that, it's like, all right, now, do I want to have more water or do I want to I drink sparkling ice. So it's like now I'll have a sparkling ice with my dinner. But if I haven't finished it by dinner, I'll still have it, and I just make sure that I finish my water before I go to bed, and then I fill it up and go to bed. And that is my routine for my water intake.
That's a good routine because I will
But I
forget.
will say, hmm,
I said because I said that's a really good routine because I will forget. I'll carry around the same bottle of water with me for half the day, and I'll be like, "Oh man, I still have not finished the one bottle of water." Because
yeah,
I get busy and I just forget about it. So
right. I carry this around with me like everywhere. I even kind of want to get a smaller one because it's, kind of heavy and bulky and I can't just like throw it into my purse or anything. But I'm like, but then I'd have to fill it up more. Like, I'm like, then I'd have to change up my whole routine. And I already have my routine the way it is. But it kind of sucks though, because when I travel, I can't drink like that. You know what I mean? I don't have that routine. And I went to I went to England with my dad 2 weeks ago, I think. And I brought this with me and I wish I'd never brought it with me because I didn't never used it. I ended up getting like an aluminum like bottle, like instead of a plastic bottle of water, it was an aluminum bottle of water, and I just kept filling that up. But it wasn't, I definitely didn't get the right intake of water, and I could tell that I was dehydrated. I could tell I wasn't getting the right amount of water, but everywhere I would go, I would get water. Like everywhere I would stop and get something to eat, I would get water. I'd fill up my bottle, but I definitely was not getting a gallon a day. But it is hard. You have to force yourself to do it. And I almost I don't just take sips. Like I really drink every time I drink some. And I think it's because I've just like, I gotta finish it. I gotta get this done so I can fill it again, you know. They actually make water bottles. I've seen them on like Etsy, and I'm sure you can find them on Amazon or wherever. But it's like numbered for you. So it'll say like by 9 a.m. you should have drank this much. By 10 a.m. you should have drank this, fill it. And then it'll have like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So then by looking at it, like, oh, it's almost 7 o'clock and I have not finished my little thing of water that I need to drink in that hour. And so then like you start chugging it. And so I actually started with a bottle like that. And so I think maybe that's how I just got used to like, oh, I gotta chug this. I gotta make my time on my bottle. So, but it literally is training. You've got to train yourself to drink that much water. But anytime you make a change in your life in any kind of way and you're trying to make it a routine, it takes yourself time and you have to train yourself to do it. Just like getting into a fitness routine, or if you're on a wellness journey and you want to cut out sugar, you have to be very, adamant about looking at labels to make sure you're not having sugar, and you have to train yourself to do that.
Yeah, and it is hard. It's not easy. And I know when you have setbacks, like, be going to the gym like every day, every day, every day, and then something happens and you can't go for a few days. It's like, it gets me all out of whack. It makes me feel like, oh my gosh, when I go back, I feel so much weaker. I feel like, I lost everything, all of my gains, and I'm like starting back where I started again. It's like, oh no, just because you let one thing throw a wrench in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we think it does. Like we think like, oh, I didn't go to a gym for a whole week when I was in England. But then I came back and I went right back into it. You know what I mean? Like I had to like put my mindset back in there. I missed going to the gym. But you think like it is a total mind thing because I'm like, oh, I haven't been to the gym in a week. I've lost everything. I'm going to be so weak now. And I was a little bit easy on myself, but I was like, I mean, if you really think about it, like this muscle group, I only do once a week. So I only missed one time working this muscle group. You know what I mean? It's like, so like how now if I was gone and couldn't work out for like a month, then I'd be starting to get like a little, oh my gosh, like this is not, that's when, you might start losing a little bit of it. And that's okay because you just build it back up. Muscle has memory and it will remember and you can get yourself back up there and it's okay. But yeah, I feel like it's more of like a mental thing.
And speaking of mental thing, it helps. I don't know about anybody else, but it helps me with my mental health so much. So much. And that's another thing. I can tell if I'm not going because I'm like, why are these things bothering me that didn't used to? Why am I not thinking clearly the way I used to? Or, or I'll feel so much more tired, But that's one thing that keeps me going is because I can feel the difference, not just in my body, but here. Yeah.
It's that endorphin release. You're not getting those endorphins like you're used to when you're working out. And it will mess with you for sure.
It definitely does.
I had some oral surgery done and then I got COVID and then something else happened and I wasn't able to go to the gym. This was around like the holidays and I wasn't able to go to the gym for it was like 33 days or something like that. And I was like miserable. And finally it like dawned on me. I was like, I haven't gone to the gym because I haven't been able to. And that must be what's wrong with me. That's what's wrong with me. And I started going back and then it totally changed my mood. It definitely. And that goes for any kind of working out. Like if you're raising your heart rate, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to lift, you know what I mean? And or you can do cardio or you can do lifting, whatever kind of workout, whatever that looks like for you, you're releasing endorphins, If you're working at the gym hard, no matter what it is you're doing, you're releasing those endorphins. And it's so important.
It feels so good. It does.
That's why I say exercise is self-care. Fitness is self-care. It helps you in so many different ways, not just in, releasing endorphins.
Yeah, that helps everything. Everything.
Yeah, physically, emotionally, mentally, you feel better, you look better, you start seeing the results, and then your self-esteem goes up. You can do things that you weren't able to do before.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything, those non-scale victories, as I like to call them,
Yes.
NSVs, you know. I remember there was something happened, and this was kind of towards the beginning of my fitness journey, and I needed to get something from upstairs, and so I like ran upstairs and I got it, and then I ran back downstairs and I started to do whatever it was that I needed to do with that thing that I had to run upstairs for, and I was like, oh, I just ran upstairs and back, and I'm not out of breath. Like it was nothing to me. And before, I would have been like, oh, like needing to like stop halfway up the stairs, you know? So it's like stuff like that where you're like, wow, like that makes you feel so good. I could never do that before. And it could be something like that, or maybe you want to be able to touch your toes.
Mhm. Tie your
Finally, you're
shoes
able to
without
touch your
trembling.
toes. Yeah, you know, maybe you want to be able to tie your shoes without being out of breath,
Mhm.
you know? Yeah. Like when that finally happens, it feels so good.
Yes. Yes, it does. Or being able to be closer to the steering wheel in your car. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just small things. I mean, and I know.
Another pull on your belt.
Yep. Yep. I know some people might not think they don't think the way I think, but I don't like to weigh myself all the time because I'm like, if my clothes are fitting better and I notice my clothes are getting bigger, I don't need to get on that scale to discourage me, you
Right.
know, because I've noticed a lot of
Mhm.
time the more muscle that I'm building, the weight on the scales will go up, but my clothes will be fitting better. And then it'll send me into a whole, oh no, I'm not losing the pounds. I'm not losing the pounds. And so I quit weighing myself. And I'm a much happier person for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's body recompositioning, you know what I mean? So you might weigh a little bit more, but your body, you don't have it's muscle instead of fat. So it's not that muscle weighs more than fat or anything like that, because a pound of muscle weighs the same as a pound of fat, but it just muscle takes up less space
Mhm.
than fat does. So you're building that muscle, so you're gaining in weight because you're building up pounds, you're still building up pounds of muscle, but it doesn't take up as much room as the fat. So it's very interesting, and it was really interesting to me with my weight loss, and because I lost 127 pounds
Oh
through
wow.
just through diet and exercise. Yeah, just through diet and exercise. I didn't have no weight loss drugs. Um, I didn't have surgery or anything like that. I'm not saying that that's bad for or anything like
Right.
that. I was a candidate for surgery, and I became this close to doing it twice, and I ended up not doing it. But I lost 127 pounds, and I was like, this is so weird because I gained all this weight through I was always my weight always fluctuated, and then having two very large pregnancies, and I just, got really, really heavy. And so as I lost the weight, and I'm like, wait, I'm 220 pounds, but I'm in a size 14. Like
Mhm.
before, when I was 220 pounds, I was in an 18. You know what I mean? But it was like that's because of my body composition, which I was less fat and more muscle. And I was still losing fat, but it was, interesting to see that difference, because it's like,
Mhm.
wait, this is so weird because at this weight before, I was so much larger than I am now, you know?
Mhm.
So that was kind of interesting to see, and just to prove that it's like a real thing.
Yeah.
So I'm with you
And
on going by how you feel and how you feel you look, and how your clothes are fitting you rather than going by the scale.
Mhm.
But I do weigh myself every day.
I had to quit because I
Every
was
morning.
discouraged. Yeah, I had to quit.
Every mo-
And
It's
like I
funny
said,
because when I weigh myself every day, I can notice changes in so I usually start dropping weight really fast right before my cycle starts.
oh
And then
really?
I gain when I am during my cycle, and then it takes me a little bit of time to lose what I've gained, like after my cycle ends. And so it's like interesting to see that and to see that fluctuation around my cycle every single month, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, so if I was like weighing myself and wanting to know, like, it's that time of the month that I weigh myself, and then I weigh myself and I'm like, I've gained all this weight, but it's because I'm getting ready to, like, I just finished my period. Now I'm weighing myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
if I didn't know that by weighing myself every day, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 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 And bloating is a horrible thing. Retaining fluid, horrible thing. Horrible thing.
Yeah, it's no fun.
No, it's not. We've talked about that before, about how and I'm glad we're just having girl talk here. So I put that on
Yeah,
the description that we were going to have some girl talk. So
girl talk. Yes.
so guys, sorry if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. But
You can fast forward.
yeah. Promise we'll get to some other stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's always been something that I've battled with is during my cycle, how tight my clothes will get and stuff. And I'm just like, fingers will swell. But I have
Mm,
noticed that the more water I drink, and I know I'm like being a huge advocate for water, but the more water I drink, the less I retain, the less I
mm-hmm.
swell, and even during that
Yep.
time. So stay hydrated, peeps.
Sure.
Don't I'm embarrassing her because I said peeps. Sorry, it's close to Easter. It's okay. We can talk about peeps. Okay.
So funny.
Hmm.
My
So,
son told me that my new shoes that I got for lifting, he said that they were, oh gosh, I'm gonna mess it up now. They were drippy. Is that right? So they were drippy. So I was like, so does that mean I'm dripping? And he's like, no, that's not what that. No, your shoes are drippy. That's it. Like, there's no dripping. Like, he was like trying to tell me all the lingo. I'm like, okay. So my outfit, and he's like, your fit is drippy, mom. You're not drippy. Your your fit is.
oh
Your
gosh.
kicks. I'm like, okay. Thank you
I
for the
still call them
lesson, son.
I still call them tennis shoes. Kids look at me like,
Well, here's the thing. When
what?
I was a teenager and like in my early like adulthood, we called them kicks. We called shoes kicks. So I'm like, son, you realize that like my generation came up with that? Like you can think that that's a new to your generation, but you know that song you're singing right now? Yeah, that was originally from my generation.
Right.
I'm like, I'm having all these conversations that my parents had with me. I'd be singing a song, and they're like, "Oh, the Beatles." I'm like, "No, that's Guns N' Roses." They're like, the Beatles did that song, Kelly." But
That
you know,
reminds me how when Post Malone came out with what was the name of that song? Post Malone came out with the song. You'll know what I'm talking about as soon as I say it. And everybody was saying, "Oh man, that Aussie guy that he's got on that song, he's really going to be a hit one day." And I was like, "Ooh."
well, I really don't listen to today's music that much, but I know that there was a country guy did a cover of "Fast Car" by Tracy Chapman,
Oh.
and I saw them sing that together. That was like all over Facebook. I remember seeing that. That was cool. But I don't know Post Malone. I don't even know any of his songs.
I wouldn't if it
Sorry.
wasn't for this
This,
one.
I listen to this. This is what I listen to. You know?
Yes, Sublime is good. I like Sublime. I've always liked Sublime.
I love Sublime. I obviously since high school, and that's like a whole genre of music that I love, and I'm all about it. It's very chill and like happy music, and like
Mhm.
my favorite band is called Stick Figure, and there's this one song, and he did an acoustic version of it, and it makes me cry, of course.
Oh,
But like when it's not acoustic and it's just like with the music and everything, you're just like, yeah, it's like jamming, and just like having a good time. And then when he's singing it acoustic, you're like, oh my God, that's so sad. So there's like all this emotion in you know what I mean? It's just not, it's different. And I was like, that's like my new favorite song. Anyway, yeah.
I'm a crier too, and like Sublime. My favorites were like Guns N' Roses. I loved Sebastian Bach. Oh my gosh,
Skid Row, yes.
yes, he was my favorite. I think
Youth
he
Gone
still
Wild,
is.
baby.
Yes.
18 in Life.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I remember you. I love that one. They're just,
Yeah.
he's
I
fantastic.
remember, here's a little funny story.
Mm.
My mom would always complain about my music. I'd be blasting Skid Row. And so finally I was like, Mom, I want to read you a poem. So I got like this is back in the day, Destiny, before we could just Google lyrics. I got like the little thing that came in the tape,
Yes,
in the
yes.
cassette tape, and I unfolded it and I read the lyrics to Remember Me, or I Remember You, to my mom. And I was like, this is a poem. Isn't it a great poem? She's like, yes, it's a wonderful poem. I love that poem. It's a great poem. And I'm like, it's Skid Row. I remember you. So, Mom. She was like,
That's
okay,
great.
Lily,
That's
go
great.
back
I
to
love that.
yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh. And my mom, she used to be really strict on my music. She would be like, I'm not so sure you should be listening to that. I'm not sure you should be listening to that. And I'd be like, oh, it's not bad, Mom. She couldn't get past the way the music sounded.
Yeah.
And then one
Yeah.
time she was talking about, and I was like, okay, Mom, let's listen to the lyrics of some Beatles songs. Sure. Well, that's different. I said, no, it's not. The music's different,
Hmm.
but the words,
Yeah.
not so much. And that's why I try my
Let's
best to give them musical
let's look
freedom.
at this Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds song, Mom.
Yeah. Strawberry Fields Forever. Yeah.
Now what do you think this means?
Uh-huh. Oh gosh.
Ah,
I loved it. Loved it. I mean, I like some of like today's music too. I'm not saying I don't, but I miss that. I miss that so much. But before I start crying and talking about those days, um, let's see. You were talking about being a crier. When I watched your dad's biography, I cried like a baby.
aw.
And when I was watching you on there talking about how when you went to watch him and you didn't know when you were going, I didn't know if my dad was going to die. I started, oh my gosh, I felt like I was a 2-year-old. I was bawling my eyes out because I felt that.
Mhm.
Um, but just listening to him talk about, because my dad, that was our bonding time, was wrestling. I was watching wrestling when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, all the way through adulthood, up until my dad passed. He would even like message me, like 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, did you see that episode? Did you see what just happened? To make sure I had watched it. That was always our bonding time. So not that it's comparable to what you went through, but I just felt that bond that you all have. You know,
Yeah,
thinking about that, my dad wasn't a wrestler, but that was a bond that we had.
right.
But just listening to you talk about him, were there any other than the moments that were on there on the biography, what was it like growing up with that?
So, like we said in the biography, like Sarge wasn't allowed in the house. So it wasn't like he wasn't coming home as Sarge and like telling us all the things that he did in the ring and he beat so and so. Like we didn't like that wasn't part of our lives with him. We just wanted to be spending time with our dad and he'd been gone for so long. So now he's home and like let's have fun and push me on the swing and let's go swimming. You know what I mean? It was just um like that father-daughter bonding time. And we didn't get to do it every day. So when we got him, it was a lot like a holiday when our dad was home because my mom would make his favorite meal. It would be like this whole thing and he would bring gifts from wherever it was he was at and so it was like a big deal when he came home because was never home. He never came home, so it really was like a holiday. We couldn't wait to spend time with him. So there really wasn't a lot of like wrestling happening at home, you know, in the beginning, like in our younger years. We would like wrestle around with our dad, like roughhouse with our dad, you know what I mean? But I think every kid does that, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? My kids do that with their dad. So um I it wasn't a that's how our dad made his living. That's how he supported us, and that meant that he was gone all the time. So it was really more having to deal with him being gone because we weren't watching it. We weren't
Right.
watching him
Right.
wrestle. We weren't It was a really long time. That story that, we talk about in the biography, I mean, I was 4, 5, 6 years old maybe, like, I was really young, I wasn't smart to the business, I really thought I was watching this guy kill my dad. He was bleeding. I mean, it was, like, traumatic, as I said. Um, so we didn't go to a lot of matches after that. Like it was a long time before we went and watched my dad wrestle again. So it wasn't a big part of our daily lives, except for the fact that it's what took him away from us.
Did you ever feel bitter toward wrestling, like that you didn't want to ever have a part of it because it took him from you, or were you just
No, no, I was never really bitter about it because I think I just understood that it's not like I think my mom was more bitter and resentful of it because she had a life with him before he was a wrestler and it totally changed her life and it wasn't what she was expecting. She married a roofer and a barber, not a professional wrestler, you know what I mean? And so I think for it was a lot different for her whereas I came in to the world and into the family and he was already wrestling. So it was just a part of my daily life. I mean, it would make me sad if he wasn't able to be there for my birthday or if he wasn't able to go to the father-daughter dance with me or whatever father-daughter event it was. Like that it was like I bothered me, but if he was here, he would go. But he's not here.
right,
So he
right.
can't go. Like and there were times where he would try everything he could. If there was a chance that he could possibly get to that event, he would get there. He would drive all night and all day, planes, trains, automobiles to get back to me or my sister in time to do an event with us. And sometimes that meant we actually did a Girl Scout outing together. It was a father-daughter thing, and it was like different games and relay races and things in the pool.
Mhm.
And my dad tried really hard to get back. And I mean, it was to the point where if your dad doesn't get back, his friend Ed is going to go with you and he can, so you can still go. And so it was like, but I don't want Ed to go. If dad's not here, I'm not going, you know? And so it was like I didn't even know if I was going to be able to go to this because my dad may not make it in time. And he did make it in time, but it like literally he didn't have any sleep, maybe like 45 minutes of sleep. And then we were off to this swimming thing. And he ended up like almost drowning in the pool
Oh my gosh.
because he was like struggling on no sleep. And I literally had to jump in and save him.
Oh my
It was a
goodness.
relay race and he had like rubber gloves on and this big bonnet on his head, and it had come off and was like over his face and full of water, and he like couldn't get it off because he had these rubber gloves on, and he was like in the deep end and just like flailing about. And so I like ran. I was on the swim team, so I ran and jumped in and got to him really fast and pulled him over to the edge, and he was ripped the thing off of his face, and obviously he was fine.
Yeah.
But he did whatever he could to go to my Girl Scout event with me, you know? So, it I wasn't bitter or resentful of it because that's just how my life was.
Yeah.
That's how
Life
my
is unique.
dad made his money, that's how he supported us, and that was his job, and like I said, if he could be there, he would. He would go to the ends of the earth to be there for us. And if he could be here, he would. And I knew that. So I think family was always been very important to my dad. And so he made sure that he made time to spend with his family when he could. And I don't think a lot of wrestlers did that.
Right.
You know, a lot of them, my dad would get a break from being on all the time, his character. And a lot of the guys never got a break from their character and they ended up just being better, you know? So I'm sure there are um kids of wrestlers out there that absolutely resent the business. But I'm not one of them. I don't resent it at all.
I think that's a great thing because like you just said, your dad always made sure that if he could be there, he would, and that really shows that he was dedicated to his family and that he was doing it for you all, taking care of you
Right.
all the best way he knew how to take care of you all. And that's amazing. And when I was watching, I was like, I had seen him on a couple of different things to where you could tell he was just kind of being himself. But watching this biography, I was like, it just
But
showed the
it
sweet,
showed the sweet
sweet man that he is,
man
the
that
big heart that he had. And I was just
he
like,
had, and I was just like,
he's,
"He's
I was like, now I want to meet him.
now what I
you know,
mean."
I mean, I
Yeah.
always wanted to meet Sergeant Slaughter, but I want to meet him as who he is. He just seemed amazing, amazing person.
He is very generous with his time. So if you do have a chance to meet him, just know that he will give you the same amount of time as he gave the last person, as he's going to give the person before you, maybe even more, because it's going to be up to you. You know what I mean? Like if you want to talk to him, he's going to talk to you. Um, he's very generous with his time. He loves his fans. He knows that he wouldn't have the career that he has if it weren't for his fans. And he appreciates that, you know. And he knows a lot of people come from very far away sometimes to see him. And he wants to make sure that they feel like they've been seen and heard, you know. Because he would want the same thing. If he was meeting his idol, he would want the same kind of treatment that he's giving his fans, you know? So he gets it. He gets it.
He seems like a very humble and wise person, very humble man. Love it. And also watching you all on there, you could see and just watching you guys on Facebook and the things that you post about your trips and stuff together. I'm like, that is a father-daughter relationship that anybody would want to have. And because you all can see that the real love there, the commitment to each other, not just we're doing this for the camera, I mean, and people that do that, I'm not saying they don't love each other, but you can just see the realness,
Right. Yeah. We like to give each other a hard time. We like to play and have fun with each other, but it's not always all fun and games. Like we do still fight and argue about things, and we don't always see eye to eye on things, but we definitely love each other and have respect for each other, and it's like any other family. You all fight, but at the end of the day, you have each other's back. And our family definitely is like that. Like we love each other. We're going to tell each other like how it is. We're going to keep it real. But yeah, we definitely are a very loving family, but not like enmeshed. Like we have enough dysfunction to make it fun. Like we can be
right?
fun and dysfunctional, you know what I mean? But I feel like it's not like toxic, you know what I mean? It's just enough to make it fun and funny and be like, my sister and I'll talk and be like, can you believe that? Like whatever. And I can't believe that dad's doing this now. Or, my dad's getting ready to do some construction on his house, but we think his house is fine. So it's like we talk about that, and then we give my dad and mom a hard time because it's like, why are you gonna do this? Like it's fine the way it is, just leave it alone. And so it's fun. We have a good time. We have a good time. We try
He's
not to
like,
take life so serious.
yeah. It's like he's like, I have the time to do it now. I didn't before, so I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Well, and his answer pretty much is always, I'm doing it because I want to. Are you going to stop me? Like, I mean, it's my house. I'm paying for it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want to do. So, I mean, he still gets what he wants, but we're still like telling him how ridiculous we think it is. So,
That sounds like me and my dad. My dad, oh my goodness. There was times where he was just, my dad was always a very gruff man. He liked to joke around and play around and stuff too, but he was very tender hearted, but he was gruff. Like he would tell you, like I would start crying, talking about us being criers. I would start crying if he would say something to me. It would hurt my feelings. And he'd be like, no, I wasn't being hateful with you. I wasn't trying to say that to hurt you. I just want you to know now stop it. Dry those waterworks up. But that's just how my dad was. And
right.
but we always had that good relationship. Like I said, our bonding time was wrestling. And our bonding time was joking, laughing, making fun of each other. But at the end of the day, I knew my dad was always there. He always had my back, no matter what. Nobody else better give me a hard time. That he could, all he wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of like I can talk all the smack about my sister that I want to, but if you do,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a problem. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah. The biography is on A&E, and I know the app is free. That's amazing, and you can watch it for free. Is there any other? Because that's the only biography I have seen on him, on Sergeant Slaughter. Do you know of any other biographies or anything that people can watch, or his stories anywhere else? about his wrestling career?
So, that's really the only like professional biography. Like he's never done a book. That's like the first time they've really done a biography. Like I've seen him in shows where they talk about a bunch of different wrestlers, but this one is the first time it's just really been about him. Um, but I actually have a YouTube channel called Slaughter Daughter, and he and I talk all the time. Well, not all the time, but we do shows together, and I try to do them once a month, but sometimes life just happens. But we just talk about life. We talk about his career. We talk about GI Joe, um, different. Um, we did an episode of just him talking about stories from the road, which a lot of them involved Roddy Piper. Um,
Mhm.
it's just it's full of a lot of really good content with just me and my dad chatting, and we have had some other people on. There's actually some episodes on there just about Spartan races. Um, so if you're interested in Spartan races, definitely check that out because I know we talked about it in the beginning, but there's a lot more that goes into Spartan races. But so I've talked about that. Um, but yeah, we just did a show, our reaction to the A&E biography. So that's the last show we did. And then we have a show coming up on March 20th, which is next Wednesday. And that one is going to be about our trip to the UK.
Oh, no.
And yeah. So we had a great trip. We were both busy doing completely different things.
Do you go with him a lot, like when he has like his personal appearances, if it's
I
different
really
things?
haven't gone in a while. I went to Joe Fest last year with him, which is in Augusta, Georgia, and I'm going to go again this year to Augusta, Georgia. Um, a lot of times, I would like to go to San Diego when he does a Comic Con, the San Diego Comic Con, because he's done that a couple times. I'd like to go out there next time if he does that again. Um, but after our England trip, I'm like, so Dad, can you get some bookings in like Australia or can you get some bookings in like Scotland? Like how like I want to come and do these things too. Um, I think it just depends on like where he's going. If he was like doing an appearance in Hawaii, like I'd be like, my whole family's coming, not just me, my whole family. Um, So yeah, it just depends on where he's going. Sometimes he goes places and I've got stuff going on and I can't go, but
Oh,
this worked out really well for me to be able to go. And if he
mm.
goes somewhere else really super duper cool, I will try to slide in again because it was amazing. Let me tell you, there's something about like, well, one, I just shared his hotel room, so he got 2 beds, so I got a bed, so I got a free room, right? And then all I had to do was pay for, like, my meals and any of, like, my excursions that I wanted to do, and then we would kinda come together at dinner time or, like, for a drink at the end of the night. So it was kinda cool to, like, reconvene every night. Um, but there's something to be said about, like, being by yourself. I loved it. Like, I'm like, "When can I go again?" And I wanna go by myself because I didn't have to worry about my kids. Are they okay? Where are they? Do I have both my kids with me? What do you mean you have to go to the bathroom again? We just went to the bathroom, or stuff like that. What do you mean you're hungry? We just ate, like stuff like that. And like my husband, I could totally just see him like saying stuff about the food being different and just like things being different. Like, even though we're in England and they speak English and we're like friends and everything, like they do call things differently and have different words for things and different sayings for things, and they have an accent. So sometimes you're like, I know that you're speaking English, but I have no idea what you just said. And I could just see my husband just getting like super frustrated, or like their sausage for breakfast.
Mhm.
I was fine eating it. Like it was fine. It was pork sausage, right? But like it wasn't what we would consider breakfast sausage in the US. It was like a sausage like you would have for like dinner, like a sausage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I could just see my husband being like, that's not the right kind of sausage for breakfast. I didn't have to worry about that. I could enjoy the sausage. And um enjoy myself, and I got to make sure that I saw everything that I wanted to see instead of having to worry about what everybody else wanted to see and what everybody else
Mhm.
wanted to do. And is everybody okay? I only had to worry about myself. So it was amazing, and I recommend it to everyone. If you can get away by yourself, even if it's to a hotel room in your city, turn off your phone or put it on do not disturb or like whatever. Go plan an excursion in your own town to do by yourself that you've always wanted to do, but you can't find anyone to do it with you. Go do it. Go have fun. It doesn't matter if you're by yourself. I went on a whole tour of 3 different places, including Stonehenge, by myself. It was
So you didn't miss
amazing.
yeah, you didn't miss anything because you didn't mess
No,
with the
I made
whole
sure.
uh,
Yes, I made sure that I got to see everything. But yeah, so Slaughter Daughter on YouTube, check it out.
absolutely. And you all Slaughter Daughter on YouTube, and if you don't already have Annie, go download the app and watch this biography. I'm telling you, it's I know you might think I'm just saying this because we're interviewing Kelly, but it's powerful. You see a side
Thank
of
you.
not only Sarge that you don't see, but you see a side of the family that you don't see, you don't know about, you don't realize the things that they've gone through on this journey. And the G.I. Joe story, that was fantastic too. I loved that. And I'm not going to tell y'all
Yeah,
what it's about because you got to go watch and find out. So,
you gotta watch it.
yes.
See the kind of stuff that his family had to go through.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you know what's funny, Cindy, is that there was so much footage that wasn't used. I was interviewed
Wow.
for 2 hours. My sister was interviewed for 2 hours. It was an hour and 45 minutes, I think. My dad was interviewed for days. I mean, there's so much footage, it makes you wonder what they're going to do with it, you know? If
Hmm.
anything.
Well, they need
What
to do
happens
something
to
with
it?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, like what happens to it? Like a director's cut, bonus feature? Like I don't know, do they do that these days? Oh
I
no.
don't know. Do they still do that? Do they? That would be really cool because I would like to know much more. I mean, because it really is a powerful biography. One of the things that made me laugh so hard is when you were talking about when you were sitting in the back seat of he was taking you to school and you were talking about kids laughing and making fun. And what you said his reaction was, I laughed so hard. You're laughing all the way to the bank. I loved that. I loved that.
Yeah.
Loved that.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't want to say that. Like, give me something mean, like to say
Yeah.
that because they're saying mean things to me. I want to say something mean back to them. He
Yeah.
was like, well, you just tell them we're laughing all the way to the bank. And I was like, well, I don't even know what that means. I mean, I was in the 6th grade. I didn't even know what that meant.
That was great. It was great. Before we go, can you share with us one of your favorite memories? Your childhood memories growing up when he was
Um,
able to spend more time with you and
Well, here's some when I tell people this, or I've actually had my friends bring this up to me and how they thought that, like childhood friends, and they just thought it was so cool because they knew their dad would never do this. But my dad did this for me and my sister, and they just thought it was awesome. Was he took us out of school one day and took us into New York City and took us to the circus. So
oh,
we got to skip school and go to New York City and see the circus. And not only like, I don't remember how he got the tickets. Maybe we should talk about this in one of our episodes. But they were like very good tickets, and I got like taken to like be part of the show, and um it was really freaking awesome and amazing. But I think it was the fact that we were able to skip school and he took us out of school to go do that. Like that was a really fun memory. Yeah. And I think we even I can't remember if it was that trip or a different trip into New because we lived in Connecticut, so it wasn't far to or hard to get into New York City. And he took us around. We went to the Statue of Liberty. We didn't go to Ellis Island, but we got to see the Statue of Liberty. He took us to the top of the Empire State Building. He took us to the top of the Twin Towers.
Oh, wow.
He took us to a bunch of different like landmarks, Rockefeller Center, um, a bunch of different places. So I feel like it was around the same time that we did the circus, but it might not have been the same trip. But that was always fun. But any time that we were able to spend time with my dad was special and a favorite because we didn't get to see him a lot.
Yeah.
I'm out of water. I've just finished my gallon. That was the last of it.
You'll be able to have your sparkling. What was it?
Yes, I did have one with dinner when I had dinner because I knew I didn't have a lot left in there, but I'll fill that. I'll probably drink another half of one of those because it's only 8, a little after 8, so I still have some of the day left.
Yes. And thank you so much for sharing some of your day with us. It's been so
Yes,
fun. Really enjoyed it.
thank you for having me. Thank you
Oh,
so much for having
absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. And we'd love to have you back sometime if you'd want to come back. But
Anytime,
okay. Thank you
anytime.
again. Thank you for sharing your story. We love it. Like I said, I've always loved him, but now I love your family. Yeah, I know I'm corny, but that's who I am. but,
Aw. Well, thank
but
you. It's been amazing to hear such positive feedback about it because we really didn't know, we're putting ourselves out there. We really didn't know what the reaction was going to be. And so far, all I've heard is positive things. And I'm so happy that you guys loved it too. And I'm very thankful and grateful for you asking me to be on your show. And I had a great time.
thank you. We did too. And once again, everybody check out Slaughter's Daughter on YouTube. That's the correct name, right? On
Slaughter
YouTube.
Daughter.
Slaughter Daughter on YouTube. Check out Kelly's Facebook and watch the biography. You will not be sorry watching it. You'll love it. You really will. And this is Cindy and Destiny with Keep It Real here with Kelly Slaughter. Thank you.